Open tabs, margin notes, highlighter, bleed through quotes, research mind, steady eye patterns only she can note. I 90 fog, whispering under wheels, skyline, afterglow, 2 states, packed rooms, quiet minds that know, no sign needed out front. They circle to her voice, questions rise before she starts, curiosity by choice. She pivots mid-lecture, checks who's leaning in close. Say the part you skip out loud, that's where the learning goes. Heads home with the speakers up, Biggie in the background, mind still mapping theories while the city slows down. She teaches the why behind the crime, the hurt behind the face, Philly in her backbone, psychology in her grace. Don't let the hype fool you, she stands 10 stories tall. She don't just teach the lesson, she teaches you through it all. Late nights with case files open, notes in the margin glow. She's showing you your story's roots so you can choose where to go. Biggie quotes inside the slides right next to coping skills. Spread love between the lines of how a nervous system feels. Long days, quiet grit, humor in the punchlines. You are more than this moment. Written 10 times, old assessments in a folder, ink dust on the sleeve. She can map anxious attachment before you know you grieve. 1 foot in Jersey lecture halls, 1 on the Philly street. Home is where she learned to fight, classes where we don't repeat. Grown kids texting check-ins, pride she doesn't post. She teaches minds all day, then goes in mother's most. Case files, true crime, mind behind the scenes. She doesn't tell you what they did, she shows you what it means. Your story is not your diagnosis. You are allowed to rewrite it.
Hi guys, I think I'm on. Hi, how's everyone doing? Let's see who's here. Oh, my beautiful friends are here. We have the wonderful Harlot. We have Cuff You. I feel like it's been a lifetime since I spoke with you. I hope you had a fabulous weekend with your grandchildren. And thank you for sharing everywhere. Jen Pop L Wop, good to see you. Twisted Crime Tales, welcome. Webs of Deceit, how you doing? My girlfriend Truth is here. You guys, real quick, what are you talking about with BK? I'm doing a live with Daniel on Wednesday, but I was reading court transcripts for Mackenzie Shirilla for some reason. I don't know what I was thinking, and I had a few other things I had to take care of, so I'm a little behind. Who else do we have here? Twisted Crime Tales is in the house. Sirius Black is here. How you doing? Just Say Lawyer is in the chat. Hey guys, welcome in. Welcome. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Edith is here. Olga's here. Okay, read it backwards, says Gianna. So, Andrea's here. I didn't want to say it wrong, Andrea. You've been here before, I know that. How you guys doing? I hope everyone's having a fabulous day. Awesome. Welcome in. So today, let's see. Can you guys hear me okay? Is everything good so far? I'm trying to, I don't know. I'm hoping that everything works out today. Okay, so let's see what happens. Oh, it says my mic volume was down, so I'm going to put that up just a little bit. Okay. I think everything's on the things that I had it on the other day. So let's just hope. Alright, I think we're good. Fingers crossed. But anyway, so today is also a lot of like showing you guys documents and stuff that are newly available. Excuse me. So, you know, hopefully it won't be a problem. All right, so let's see. So I also, you guys, just so you know, all right, well, I guess I really don't have to say all that. Let me just share what I want to share. And let's start out there. I didn't mean to rhyme at all. Okay. All right, so to start, so today the name of the live is Why Aggravated Murder Was Rejected. And we know that murder was actually accepted eventually. And I think it's very, very confusing. At least I was confused. So I figured if I was confused, there's got to be somebody out there else that was confused too. Like, because it said the judge rejected aggravated murder, which I thought had premeditated. I was just really confused. So I did all the digging, and I actually put a lot of work into this live, and I hope it shows. So let's see what happens, because you never know. I put a lot of work into a lot of my lives, and they don't always hit, but most of them do. So let's start with this one. So the start, I know I didn't share anything yet. I'll share something in 1 minute. I just want to start by saying that we are going to look at, well, the first thing we're going to look at, because we're going to look at quite a few things. We are going to start tonight out. Let me share. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at happens to be in the bind over. And we are going to the yellow, I think. Let's see. Prepared. So let's see. Okay. We're going to look at what the juvenile judge says, and we're also going to look at they say that there's no probable cause for aggravated murder. That's what the juvenile judge says, but she moves to the next count and finds probable cause for murder. That's why I was confused. I was like, wait, what? So I think it's the word aggravated that I needed to understand better legally. So there were 4 murder counts that wind up going forward. Mackenzie is eventually transferred to an adult court, and that's the whole reason I wanted to do this live, because the ruling gives us much more interesting question than just a recap of what we already know happened. So the legal distinction is pretty quick, and then I'll share with you the document. But aggravated murder required prior calculation and design, and the judge did not find enough evidence planning for those counts. Murder requires purpose. She found enough evidence for purpose to send these counts forward. So I'm going to explain the evidence that supported the purpose, but I'm not going to spend the next hour reading statutes to you. We've done enough homework to know where the legal line is. So let me just show you real quick. This is where I'm going to share with you the document. Okay. Oh, I am sharing it, duh. Okay, so I'm already sharing it with you. How about that one? So this is the bind over, and excuse me. In this one, I think we're going to blue, sorry. Okay, so we are looking here. The judge. So we're going to look at the judge's decision real quick, and then we'll talk about it. So as it relates to count 1 and 2, and we're looking in the green. Let me make this bigger for you guys so you could see it even bigger. There you go. Hopefully that makes it a lot bigger for you. So in the green is where I'm going to be reading for this part. So the judge says, my decision is as follows. Now we're in juvenile court. As it relates to count 1 and 2, aggravated murder, an unclassified felony, I do not find that the state has shown probable cause as it relates to those 2 charges. As it relates to counts 3, 4, 5, and 6, these are the murder charges, all of these being unclassified felonies. And so they're the same there, but she's found that the state of Ohio has met their burden as it relates to those, and
Thank you.
and there's probable cause to move forward on that particular count. Let's see, who was that? It says, oh my gosh, it came up. Hold on, you guys, that was crazy. Thank you so very much. I appreciate you. That was so very thankful. Okay, I read the word thank you, Andrea, and said thankful. Oh my gosh. Will one of you do me a favor? I don't know what's happening with my phone and or maybe everybody. I don't know. It didn't show me who to thank for that, and I don't like that. So if somebody could let me know who I can thank for that, that was so very generous of you. Okay, so the state of Ohio has met their burden, she says, on counts 3, 4, 5, and 6, which are murder. This is important, right? Because she says that as it relates to counts 7, 8, and 9, and 10, which are all felonious assault counts, I do find that the state of Ohio has met their burden. So there you go. As it relates to those counts, as it relates to counts 11 and 12, which are aggravated vehicular homicide counts, I do find that the state of Ohio has met their burden, that there's probable cause for those two counts. And as it relates to count 14, drug possession, a felony of the 5th degree, as well as possessing criminal tools, a felony of the 5th degree, I find that the state of Ohio has met their burden and their probable cause on those two counts. I also find that in counts 3, 4, and 5, and 6 being the murder counts, as well as the fact that Mackenzie's date of birth was 17 years old at the time of the alleged offense, this is a mandatory bind over, and the state has met those findings. The court is hereby granting the state of Ohio request to transfer this case. Okay, so I think this is important. Ivy, thank you so very much. I appreciate you. Thank you. You guys, this is so important. And thank you for being here, Ivy. Oh, my niece is calling, but I'm not answering. Let me turn my ringer off. There we go. Sorry about that. So this is important, you guys, because this shows us right here that when it comes to JC, welcome and thank you, Queen. When it comes to why did this go from the juvenile courts to the adult court, there wasn't a choice. Okay, so there wasn't a choice. So they had to transfer the case at that point. Okay. The court is hereby granting the state of Ohio's request to transfer this case. Your matter will now be presented directly to the grand jury for potential indictment. According to the State versus Smith, since no probable cause was found on the aggravated murder charges, the state of Ohio does not have the ability to file those once the case is transferred downtown. As it relates to bond, so before we get into bond real quick, so as it relates to the charges, you guys, that just means that if the prosecutor decides to prosecute, right, that they can, on these other charges, the ones where she found probable cause, and the ones where she does not, they can't, so they can't seek aggravated. I do think it's interesting that there's, what was it, reckless, what was it, let me see. It was vehicular homicide, aggravated vehicular homicide. Was she found guilty on that as well? I guess I'll figure it out. But I know she's found guilty on the others. Okay, so let me finish reading this document real quick. So then it says, for as far as bail, you guys, wait until you hear this. All right. As it relates to bond, Does the state of Ohio wish to be heard? Your Honor, we believe that Mackenzie's a flight risk. We also believe that she's a danger to the community. After this crash that cost 2 lives, she went out and obtained a driver's license, was seen driving a car using illicit substances again. What? I don't think I realized that. I knew that her mom and dad said that they let her use a car to go to an interview or something, but, what? She was seen driving a car using illicit substances again. We ask for $1 million bond, $500,000 for each victim. Okay, Mr. O'Donnell, Your Honor, may it please the court, from the time of the incident until she was arrested on the highway, she made absolutely no attempt to flee. I think that should be taken into account, number one. Number two, if she were to be, we think she would be given a much lower bond. She would have the ability to stay at her parents'. Wait to hear this part, you guys. Her parents' house. Her mother works from the house. That would be important. Also, I think consistent with what the bond would be set downtown on cases like this, it's normally either $50,000, 10%, or $100,000, 10%. You also have the ability to place her on house arrest, and I think that would be an appropriate bond for the reasons. The court. So I did reach out to the bond commissioner just to try to gauge what type of bonds they are given downtown on homicide-related offenses without obviously providing too much information. And the bond commissioner said that they are between $250,000 and $1 million on a case. So based on everything that's been presented to the court, I'm going to impose a bond in the amount of $500,000 cash, surety, or property. That is not going to be at 10%. If that can be posted, court supervised release. What? Once this gets transferred downtown, if there's an indictment that comes out of it, you'll go in front of the judge down there for arraignment, and they will have the opportunity to change that bond, where to raise it or keep it the same or lower it. So my condolences to all the victims' family members. I cannot imagine what this has done to everyone's family. Obviously, everyone, whether it be the victims of Mackenzie herself, obviously has a lot of support. I hope that everyone, on behalf of the victims, obviously you sat through some graphic photos and videos and obviously had to relive a lot of what has happened. And I hope that at some point you can hopefully put that out of your mind and just let their memories live on through all the great memories that you have of them. And Mackenzie, I wish you the best of luck. Thank you. And that concluded the hearing. What? I was like, girl, I thought that was interesting, you guys. I thought that it was standard that you'd pay 10%. I don't know that I've ever heard it to where the judge says no 10%. I thought that was so interesting. I always wondered why they didn't post bond, and that is obviously why. Like, what? I thought that was crazy. So the legal distinction, real quick, is that aggravated murder required prior calculation and design. I looked it up before this. So the judge did not find enough advanced planning for those counts. Murder requires purpose. There was enough evidence of purpose to send those counts forward. I'm going to explain the evidence that supported that purpose, but I'm not going to, we're not going to go over it for a long time. So Mackenzie in general, Mackenzie was 17. That fact matters for me in this case. It matters when we look at the speed of the decision, the relationship, the way she used social media, the amount of weight that she gave when it came to peers and their attention, boundaries the adults created around her or didn't create around her, and the way viewers interpret her behavior after the crash. Like, I really want to see how other people see this as well. Development gives us a way also, you guys, to organize all of this stuff without ever diagnosing her, because it just would be unethical to diagnose somebody online without ever meeting them. So tonight I want to put the 17-year-old back into the 17-year-old world. We're going to look at her public identity a little bit. We're going to look at her relationship identity just a little bit, the social rewards around her, the adults around her, the earlier driving incident, like all very basic. We could do a live on each one of these things separately. But just to like show a little here and there, I picked out a few of her social media posts. So excuse me. Then we'll come back to the ruling and ask why the judge found purpose while rejecting the advanced calculation. So I also want to make sure that Dominic, Russo, and Davion Flanagan are named here in the very beginning. So Davion gets called a friend, the passenger, or an innocent bystander so often, and sometimes his name disappears. So I want to make sure that we remember Dominic and Davion. Dominic and Davion obviously died in the car crash, but in case somebody's watching this for the first time, which I doubt, you never know though. Development that can help us understand people and their context. So, but it never just remember, I'm looking at how people's behavior develops and how patterns develop and how patterns help us predict future behavior, things like that. But it never excuses the outcomes, the consequences, things like that. So just remember that. You know what I mean? Okay, so the juvenile judge's ruling leaves that window open. So she rejected the evidence of advanced planning and still found evidence of a purposeful act. So that's two different things. So she said that she didn't think there was advanced planning, but she did think that it was a purposeful act. That's where this gets psychologically interesting for me. So the next thing I'm going to show you real quick is part of Mackenzie's social media feed, because I want to give you like a brief, look at not just development, but things that were important to her. And we're going to see, everything from, the development of identity in general. So it's not like an on-off switch development. It's something that's continuous over time. So we have to put that in mind. We all know that our brains aren't developed till we're about 25. That plays a big part, in my opinion. And again, not to mitigate anything, but to understand why somebody, even with, I don't know this to be true, but even with signs of a developing, if anything, personality disturbances, let's just call it that. So amongst that, that comes from somewhere. That's a pervasive pattern of behavior. So even if we're looking at something like a personality disorder, which I'm not just diagnosing anyone here, please, God forbid, we know that even a personality disorder is a pattern of behavior, so it develops with you. So development is huge in this, I think, in my opinion. Just to be a nerd, the World Health Organization places adolescents from 10 through 19, so when we talk about this, 10 through 19, so that fits both of the victims and Mackenzie. I do think Dominic might have just been 20. Close enough, right? 19, 20, close enough. But when we're talking about adolescence, because we're talking about cognitive, emotional, and psychosocial development, which continues across that period. Late adolescence brings growing autonomy and adult-like abilities, which we do see in Dom, right? So he lives on his own, for example, so he sets his own rules. He has a lot more autonomy and abilities than the others. So also, while self-regulation becomes less reliable when emotion, status, conflict, substances, romance, or peers raise the temperature. The last part real quick, before I show you this, Teenagers often look completely capable in calm situations. They can explain rules. They might be able to identify risks for you. So you might be able to give them a scenario and be like, what happens if you and your partner are getting it on and nobody has a like you can give them a scenario and you could see if they're like, oh, well, if you don't have a condom, we're not doing it. Like, to give a hypothetical, right? So they are perfectly capable of putting themselves in hypothetical situations or, taking on that hypothetical and answering the right way or the way that, you want to hear, right? And that's the truth. So, but even with that, even though they're able to do that, they can remain, they can remain calm and still be risky. And we're going to see that here. So we might see situations where maybe before people might not have seen certain things. Well, we'll get into it. I don't want to get too off focus here. Okay. So we also know that a relationship rupture at 5 a.m, people in the car, an argument, anger, fear, humiliation, the possibility of rejection, all of this can narrow attention and shorten the distance between emotion and action, especially in a 17-year-old. So keep that in mind. Again, none of this, in my opinion, is mitigating any of the outcomes of the behavior. I think 15 years is the least Mackenzie could do for this, car crash. So, depending on how it is you see it. Either way, I still think she needs accountability. And I think that this time should be used in a way that helps her grow so that if and when she does have a life after this, she can make, a difference in some way. But that is just wishful thinking for me, especially if there are, which I don't know, if there are, narcissistic, borderline, histrionic behavior patterns, things of that nature, that would probably be wishful thinking on my part then. Okay, so here we go. So let me show you real quick why I was just talking. I should have been sharing this with you. So I'm going to stop that share and start a new one. And then why I start this new share, I'm going to show you a few, different social media posts that I already picked out for us because she's got so many of them, you guys. It's unbelievable. So let's see real quick. I probably should have done this first. Hold on, let's go to video. All right, here we go. So let's go to this one. I might have to reshare. Let me see. I think I do. Here we go. Come on. It's like taking a second here. But I'm afraid that if I hit anything, I'm gonna mess something up. So let's just leave it. Okay, well, while we wait for that, I don't know why that's taking a minute, but it is. Here it goes. There's always got to be an issue. If you guys could see here, I definitely had this all prepared, and I still have it prepared because I had plan A, B, C, D, E. So let's just see what happens real quick. Let's see if this one opens. If not, no big deal. We got this. How's everybody doing in chat? How's everyone doing? Let's see. Oh my gosh, you guys, my thing is I have to reload. Not here, on my phone. For some reason. Oh my gosh, it says YouTube crashed. Would you like to contribute to an anonymous... What? Can you just put me back? Alright. I should be back in chat. Oh, what is that? Most hated bitches. It says most hated bitches is Strongsville. Wait till you guys see this one. I don't know why it's sideways. But this is the stuff that she... Yeah, it starts up. I have no idea. God forbid. You know what I mean? God forbid. Let's see. I don't know why it's doing that. I'm about to close it out and restart that. But I don't want to. Let's see what happens if I click on this. If this doesn't work, I'm going to have to close it out and reshare. Which probably isn't a big deal, and I probably should have done that already. Hey, Downbound. Hi, Tony. How you guys doing? Legalese here. How you doing? Come on in, fam. Social media. Yay. Alright, let's see. I don't understand. I don't understand. Did it like take a picture or something of this? Like, what's happening? I don't understand why it's not playing. I like checked all of this before we started and all. I mean, here, play. If something dumb didn't happen. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to plan, what was it? A, B, or C? I think we're on plan, we might be on plan C. But it's okay because I have a plan C. So this is what we're going to do. I'm just going to see if this one opens. And I'm going to reshare. Let's stop sharing that. Oh, what's this? Is this it? Alright, let's see. I might have to share this instead. I think I do. But don't worry, by the time I share it, it'll be on. Oh gosh, I can't wait someday to get a whole new computer. It's going to be great. Come on. See, it's... I don't know why it's not doing that. Hold on, we're shutting all that out. Everything's getting shut down over there. Sorry, you guys. We're just going to click on a random one to see if we just had to reopen it. And I'm just going to see what happens. And I'm just going to talk to you guys for a second. How you doing? Yes, I need to catch up on Coburger too. Can somebody tell me what's going on? And I know that I'm doing a live on Wednesday at 9:30 Eastern with the Drunk Turkey Show. Oh, no, she didn't. Okay, so I have good news and bad news. The good news is I got it to work. I don't know what the bad news is. It's not the video that I was going to share, but it's not that big of a deal because it still shows her childish behaviors. I think this in her mouth, you guys, is, well, obviously we know what that is, but it's a, oh my God, does anybody remember what she called it? Do you guys remember? A wood. Wasn't it a wood? But I'm assuming that's her in the background. How cute when she was little. That's adorable. Oh. Cute. But look, take a picture with your younger self, it says. And that's the picture that she took. Let me do another one. I did shut the volume off for that one because it was biggie and I don't want to get a copyright strike. Although I should probably go to the folder of the ones that I've picked out for us. But let's see what we get. Lucky us. Well, we don't want the same one. So let me go to the videos that I picked out. And maybe it was just a fluke. Let's see what happens this time. Let's see. I don't know what we're talking about, but... Oh, he wants to change his plea? Oh, he definitely, Tony, I agree. You guys, will you make sure that you tune in on Wednesday? I'm not exactly sure, but I'm sure whatever it is that's out in the news right now is what we're covering. But you guys know DT, you know, he's got it. I'm just there to look pretty, you know what I mean? He's got the whole lot. I'm just kidding. Read all the new stuff that's come out since the plea deal. I don't know how to see it anyway after seeing what I've seen. Legally guilty. Do me a favor. What are the things that you're talking about? Like, what are some things I should be looking into? Oh, look, maybe it was that. Okay, hold on. I think there's something wrong with those few files that I shared. Hey, Michelle. Read the documents after the plea deal and tell me what you think. I'm curious to see if it makes you think different. Oh, that was to Tony, but I need to do that too. Ooh, Cuff, you found the documents. I'm not surprised. Cuff, you is like the queen of finding these things. So thank you, Miss Cuff. It will be uploaded somewhere, I'm sure, within the next 30 seconds, if it isn't already. Cuff use like that on it. And we appreciate you for it. We love you over here, so thank you for doing it. What else do we have here, you guys? I can't. I mean, I can, not I can't. But I'm annoyed that the ones that I picked out are not the ones that are coming up. Not that it's that big of a deal, because all of hers are horrific. So I guess what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to where we were in her Snapchats. Or no, it was her TikToks. I'm sorry. It's her TikToks. And she has 3 TikTok usernames. We're in Baby Kush, in case any of you wanted to know. And I'm going to share the next one real quick. And then I'm going to jump back to something else. Okay. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Koberger thinks he can get a new trial because the hair found in Ethan's hair. Shut up. Is that for real? What? Legally Guilty says I need to listen to all the interviews and how it's not like normal interviews at all. I think I did while we watch this in the background. But you guys, look at what she's posting. Now, some of you might be like, she's 17, whatever. I get it. But her mom is follows her social media. Where is she? Like, whose feet was that in the background? Did that say Sweet 16? What's happening? Oh my God, look you guys, that says Sweet 16. So she got her car for her 16th. Which I'm assuming, it's none of my business really, but wait, when someone says it's none of my business, you should probably leave it at that. But I thought about it and yeah, you know what I mean? And there's text messages that show that she was like pissed when her mom and dad were talking about what kind of car to get her, and she wanted something more like Mercedes type. And she said something to her mom, now that I'm thinking about it, like, well, it's not fair, you drive. What does her mom drive? Maybe a Range Rover? Something like that. And the mom, thank God, it worked for that. It was unbelievable. But True said the thing is, to qualify for a new trial, the evidence is supposed to be new evidence. It can't be anything found in the current documents. It has to be brand new evidence. The hair in Ethan's hand isn't new. Well, boom. It wasn't a clump of hair. That's in the documents too. Oh, you guys want to talk about this. Well, how about this? We'll see how you guys should show up on Wednesday night for my live with Daniel. Over here, so that I know that this on it, where we could talk all about it. The documents show there's new evidence. There's totally new evidence. You got to keep reading. No, that hair is not new. That is 100% true. Yeah. So legally, what could we look at? We're all big, we're all grown-ups here. What is it that we could look at? Okay, True says, remember when they were talking about Russo wanting to grow in a house incognito style? I don't know if I missed the first part somewhere. Sirius says, legally, that's just not true. I don't know who you've been listening to, but they're mistaken. Not trying to be rude, but I've read every single document. Well, that's why I'm saying, Sirius, is there a document, like a legal document, that you could send me? Because if there is, I would be happy to share it with all of our friends. Do you know what I mean? And Sirius, if I get a new document, I'll share right on the, what's it called, Discord. I'll share it right on the Discord with everyone. So, Oh, thank you. Thank you, Avi. I appreciate you. So, legally, the thing is, I don't know if I have a whole playlist, not to like give myself a plug here, but give me 2 seconds, Dr. Vona. Okay. But, the interview, I want you to go look at my playlist for the Idaho 4, and I believe, because you said especially Dylan, I think it was, I reacted to her interview, like, as I watched it for the first time, I believe. So, you know what I mean? Serious, I get it. I was just saying if there was something, you know what I mean? That's how I'm gauging what evidence we're talking about. So I'm just curious legally, and I think we all are. We're all, friendly over here, and nobody's arguing or anything, but just let us know if there's like something that maybe we missed. I don't know that we did. I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? Oh, look at that. We have an affidavit. Girl, I almost just said your real name, but you are the bomb. Cuff you. I got it. Am I supposed to be you know what I mean? I don't know what you guys... Okay, let me get back to the Mackenzie thing real quick, just because that's the live that I have up here. If you guys, for some reason, want me to wrap Mackenzie up and restart a Coburger one, just let me know. I'd be happy to do so. But I'm going to... I did write some stuff up. So let me just I'm just going to move on real quick. So let me move on to my next thing, just in case, because I could always do that. So when it comes to her social media here, you guys, for me, of course, I didn't click on the right note. Hold on. Only me. Okay, there we go. I X'd out the wrong one. Okay, so when it comes to development, it's not an on-off switch. That's what I was saying before. That switches on when you're 18 and you become an adult and according to the rules of society. So population level development describes tendencies and vulnerabilities during this time. So I have a lot of references that I've attached that I could attach somewhere if anybody wants them. I have a lot of actual citations and articles, and I went a step further, and in my APA citations, I tried to pick things that had a link that was accessible to the general public and not just somebody in academia like me. So you're welcome. Anyway, so when it comes to things like looking at relationships, especially during the adolescent, young adult years, this is important because we see, and there's evidence to show, or research rather, to show that things like humiliation, we don't know what was happening in the car. Could something have been said that embarrassed to somebody, a teenager, could be viewed as humiliation, or somebody with personality characteristics of cluster B, which I'm not diagnosing her as, but we do see some characteristics there, and I think a lot of people agree with that. But that would make a difference here if we're talking about something like anger, an argument, rejection, any of those things. So let's real quick go back to how all of this does not mitigate, or I'm not saying that this has nothing to do with the legal part. That was just the development part. But if we are looking at the judge's ruling again, she did not see enough prior calculation and design, and that's what the law counted for. So, She did see enough evidence of purpose. A fast, emotionally charged decision fits inside that legal space. That possibility still has to be supported, though, by the case evidence. So development tells us the space exists. It doesn't decide what occupied it, right? So the space is there, but it doesn't necessarily tell us what occupied it. So this is also why I'm not going to reduce the case to her brain was not developed yet. That sentence is too blunt to be useful. I want to know which developmental tasks were active. So I'm looking specifically at things like identity, autonomy, social status, romantic attachment, emotional regulation, future orientation, and adult boundary setting. Those are the pieces we can actually examine, you guys. So from there, if we're looking at online Mackenzie, so who was she? Like, who was she trying to be? My dissertation is, the title is Mirror, Mirror on the Screen, Show the Me That I Once Seen. And that meant something because when it comes to screens and screen time, we see the person that we want to project. That's the person other people see, is the person that we project on our social media, and vice versa. We, make assumptions and inferences about other people in the population based on things that they post and comment, so on and so forth. So when talking about social media, and when we just looked at her feed, right, we know that things like fashion, beauty, modeling, romance, status, friends, music, trends, all of the things, these were all versions that she wanted other people to recognize her to be. And notice that I said what she wanted other people to recognize her to be. So not necessarily what she was, but what she was perceived as. That was important to her, in my opinion. So adolescence in general is a major period of identity development. So young people all over test roles, they collect feedback. If a friend says, you stink, they wind up checking their armpits to make sure they put enough deodorant on going forward. So literally they collect feedback from their peers. They make commitments, change commitments, right? So they'll say, I want to do something, and then not want to do it. And they use their peers as a mirror. So social media turns that process, in my opinion, into a public performance with numbers attached. So it's not only like how we grew up, where we were looking for peer validation, but in today's day and age, things like likes and views, they measure. It's almost like measuring for that young adult their worth against the rest of the population, which is just a horrible standard that's unattainable in almost all cases, in my opinion, as well. So the other thing I wanted to say real quick, so views, likes, comments, and followers, shares, and brand attention tell the user which version of the self is also being rewarded. So remember that too. So here we see, and I had a post where she shows herself being stylish. It was one of, let me see if I can, I'm probably not going to be able to pick one that's exactly that, but she has so many of them that it can't hurt to just wing it and see which one I land on. Let's hope. You never know. But I picked out ones where I know you guys know this already, but think of like ones where she would take videos of what she wore for school, and she would do like a whole week video where you would see her different fits, she would say, for the week, and she would post that and share that with everyone. And that was something that was very important to her. But also, I also see that as like, where was the teachers and why was she was always in the bathroom. I don't know if anybody took notice. Oh, that wasn't the one that I wanted to go on. Let's try this one instead. Oh, wait. Where? Where am I? God, cuff you. Oh my God, you guys, I've had members for 13 months. Cuff you and Truth have both been members for 13 months. What? You guys. Thank you. I couldn't do this with it and commitment on a different level, and I appreciate that so much, both of you. And there's other ones too, so thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. What's this? Oh, so this one. Okay, so what else? Let's see. Look how cute she was, you guys, and innocent. I think this is a cute picture just to show, not cute, wait, are you guys even seeing? Yeah, you are. So over here, you see this picture, how she looks so innocent and stuff. And I say that for the sense of, like I was saying earlier, development of personality, it develops over time. So you could have, I don't know, what does this picture say to you guys? Star on her cheek, so, she was doing the things. She got a little flower in her hand. She's actually quite cute. Look at her. Huh? Alright, I'm opening up and doing like her modeling in front, which we kind of just saw with her ponytail thing there, but that was a little bit just more growing up. Let's see what this one is. Oh, of course. I clicked on the exact same one. But look at this. I think that was a good one. Maybe I was supposed to do that because it shows too the progression of her, that ponytail, and she was looking very seductive in my opinion. Which that says a lot right there. So everything from, the way she was standing. And that's funny to me too, because if you guys remember in the Netflix series, a lot of people were talking about how she sat down for the interview, how she like arched her back out, and that kind of was what she was doing. Just never changed. So yeah, the next one that I'm showing real quick, if it comes up, if it wants to pop up, I'm sure it will sooner or later. But while that comes up, let me just say this. Hi guys, we're live. We're looking at some of the social media of Mackenzie Shirilla and how over time something like personality develops and is shaped by positive and negative reinforcement, your friends, your whether you go to church or the mosque or the temple, so your religious views, your traditions, your values, all those things. So they all come into play, obviously, when looking at how somebody develops, including their personality. So this next one I clicked on, I'm not really sure what it is. So we're going to see for the first time together. And I'm going to turn my screen off for 1 second so that I can get a drink and not look crazy. Birdie's here. What's up, Birdie? Welcome in, you guys. Come say hi in chat. Come put an emoji in chat. What is it, a blue heart? For the victims. For Dom and Davion. Deb's here. Hey, Deb. Deb, no. Casey's here. Deb, I don't know why that's doing that for you. I actually, for once, wasn't seeing that here. You guys, look, I picked one of the ones that I think depicts what it was that I was trying to say. So I'm going to hit play on this one again because they're only a few seconds. But it says first week of school outfits. So this is... Wait. Oh, no, she didn't. Her first week of school. So she's wearing one of her Juicy Couture. Let me make sure you guys... Yeah, you could say it. She's wearing one of her Juicy Couture outfits. One of the things I want you to take notice, if you ever see where it looks like she's wearing a thong, sometimes she is, but most of the times she has the tack, which creates the illusion of a thong. How about that? I don't know why I caught that. Wait, let's look. So this outfit actually isn't bad. I think this is cute, actually. Is that... Oh, no, we don't know who that girl is, do we? But I actually think she looks like cute here. I mean, I don't know that we need all that belly shown for school, but you know what I mean? The other girl's wearing her belly out. It is what it is. All right, this one right here. I don't even hate this one. If one of the kids wore this. Now, I don't know if her shirt's see-through. That would matter. But I love her Jordans. I want them, actually, to be honest with you. And if I could wear that, I would be wearing that right now if I could. You know what I mean? Okay, hold on. I went past the one that it was like, what? Alright, so... Stop going too fast. Alright, so this was the next one, right? Socks up to their knees, but that's what's then. My kids do the too. Love her sneakers. Okay, her next outfit is too much for school. If she were my kid, I would tell her to go upstairs right now and get dressed. Come on. Here it goes. What is she wearing? You can't see, but it's not seeing what I am. Yes, you are. My thing is just really behind on my phone. What is she wearing? Wearing a bustier with... Does anybody else? You know what I mean? Oh, legally guilty. That is what... You are amazing. So wear you around. And that's what I love about you guys. And Sirius says she was serious, was thinking the same. Yes, I had a uniform too. Put a 1 in chat if you had a uniform. And then put it to school. Like no dress code at all. And I guess 3 in chat if it's other. If you don't fit one of the 2 categories. So put a 1 in chat if you wore a uniform. It's 2 in chat and a 3 in chat. Then I would ask more about that. That's it. love that. Okay, so I don't understand. Oh, we do have a 3. What's the other, Ivy? Birdie, you didn't have a dress code? Really? Birdie, you could have wore this. Serious, you could have wore this to school? Shut up. Nobody wants to see your gap. That's funny. The funny thing is, Truth, honestly, that's what they do care about. It's so unfortunate, but like a sign of, I don't know. I don't know what it's a sign of, but a lot of girls care about that. It's doing it for me, but it didn't like rain much, but there was a lot of thunder and lightning. It's cutting out. What's cutting out? No. Hold on. You have to tell me these things. I went out and came back in. It's Wi-Fi in the storm. Mine's actually not doing it for once, and usually I could say. You got them, let me know. So, real quick, let me just say that when it comes to these like fashion posts, the ones where she is more worried about her status amongst her peers, what else do you think it could be? It's status. Really, Casey? Is it doing it for anyone else? You guys. Really, harlot? Alright, hold on. Let me figure it out. We just have to be 10% smart. You guys, I need a new computer. I'm like, the only reason I haven't gotten one is because I keep holding out for like, I'm like, let me make another $1. Like, let me make another $1. But like, at this point, I'm about to put my own money into it because it's annoying. Let me know how it is now. My fan slowed down. Because I would hate to like go all the way out. So let me tell you, I'm going to keep going and you guys let me know. Birdie said it's a little bit better now. I just closed out a whole bunch of things, so let me know if that helped. If not, I have my sound thing up. Let me see. System sounds. Let's do. I have my mic. Oh, wait. Should my... Alright. I'll something over real quick, and I don't know if I'm going to mess things up. You guys let me know if I just fuck things up real quick, because I definitely just touched something. It's either going to really help or really not help. So let me reshare. And we're just going to see for shits and giggles. You think it's better? Okay. Untouch it? Oh, okay. Let me untouch it. Oh. Oh no, oh no. You guys, why does this happen? It's so annoying. Why is my thing not on either? My bad. Ivy, thank you. Thanks, Ivy. A wise woman's here. Hey, wise woman. How you doing? You guys are saying it's okay, so let me know. It was good before. Now it's staticky. No, I want you guys to say something, just because if it's everybody, then I feel like it's a me thing. Sometimes it's not a me thing, but a lot of times it's a me thing. And we need to figure it out. It's not horrible. It's good now. Hi, Juliet. How you doing? All right, well, we're just going to pray to Jesus. So, Jesus, I pray, can you please make my screen work? Because we're working on a low budget over here. But we're going to do good. We're going to put it out in the universe. And we're going to get ourselves a really good computer. My daughter says that I need to get like a computer. So I think I'm going to do that. So we're going to see. Oh no, look at this. Pink cats. Yeah, queen. Does anybody have cats out there? Let me know in the chat if you have a cat. Let me know. Okay. So I'm just going to continue, and you guys let me know if I have to do something else, because I just don't even know what to do anymore. I'm trying to think of what I did that last time we were on, and I'm not sure. Alright, I hope we fix it. I'm going to keep going, and then how about this? Cuff you. If it's terrible, let me know. In the meantime, hopefully I'm okay. So adolescence, you guys, real quick, we were talking about identity development and how young people test roles, and they continue to create their identities through things like rewards and punishments. So depending, and not just rewards and punishments, like if you're punished at home and rewarded at home, like just rewards and punishments in general. So for example, you're talking too close to somebody, like you're a close talker, and people walk back whenever you're talking to them. You will notice, usually most people won't notice, and they will change their behavior, and they won't get so close to people. Somebody might even say something like, yo dude, move back, or relax, or move back, I'm right here. And that's how we then change our behavior. And again, that would be an example of rewards and punishments in your social life. So then for Mackenzie, we see that her posts give us evidence of self-preservation. So she appears invested in being seen as attractive and stylish, socially connected, and potentially marketable. I even had one video where she shows all of her Skims, and she tries on her different Skims pieces. There was another one that I had for us that I wanted us to watch. That was, that showed a TikTok that she does, where it's something along the lines of where she shows everything in her closet, and the background says something like about broke people, and how if you're broke, don't follow me. It's ridiculous. It's so pretentious. I can't even take it. But she puts that out there. So it's just how she wants other people to perceive her. And I even believe in her Netflix interview, she says to the interviewer that she says, I guess that's how I wanted my 17-year-old self to be perceived. When I believe it was social media she was talking about. I'm going to have to go back and look. You guys, all the fans went off. Hopefully that works. Oh my gosh, here we go. We said a prayer, and maybe it'll work. Let's see what you guys are saying. Hey guys, how you doing? Nice to see ya. Hey, just call me Heidi. How you doing? We're talking about Mackenzie and her. It's much better now. Nice. Maybe I just had to shut all the shit off in the background, which I don't mean to put up. I wind up pulling a bunch of stuff up while we're doing our live, and then, next thing you know. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, you guys, so with Mackenzie's identity, even her online identity, because we do have more than one. You guys here, I think you guys should understand probably more than most about an online identity. If I'm just looking at your names, right? Like Truth Exposed, Birdie.
Thank you.
Oh, Birdie, you've been a member for 11 months. Time does fly when you're having fun. Wow. You, Truth, you guys are like, a lot of you are just so ride or die. I can't even take it. Thank you. Wow. Wow. I can't believe it's been that long. Holy mackerel. Thank you. I appreciate you. So, what we're talking about here with, wanting to be seen as attractive, stylish, socially connected, and potentially marketable, because we all know that she wants to be a social media, not a content creator as much as, what's the word I'm looking for? She wants to be a social media, oh my gosh, you guys will tell me. I don't know, I guess it's ADHD, I'm having a moment. Influencer, is that the word? She wants to be a social media influencer. It just had to come to me for a second. So, but that's common, especially with identity work related to online identity. So it can become especially important when attention starts producing opportunities, free products, modeling hopes, or a sense of status. Influencer, thank you guys. That's definitely what I was looking for. So here we see that this did become important for her because attention did start to produce opportunities for her. She was getting free products. She would go to that, or she would also do that DHgate and a few other sites where she got things cheaper, or she would, she would order something that she would get discounted or even free in some instances. The modeling opportunity that her and her mom responded to while she was in the hospital after the accident is an example. They said that, and when I say they, I hate when people say that because I'm always like, who's they? So when I say they, I would say that the evidence shows that she would often tag, depending on what it was that she was hoping to do, she would tag all kinds of people. So, for example, she would tag Skims all the time in her stuff. She would tag, or she would email modeling, the same modeling agencies over and over, allegedly. And I guess that's how you have to do it, right? Because, what do they say? The squeaky wheel gets oil. So I guess you can say that that's a good thing on one hand. But on the other hand, we saw how important this was to her. I think that we also need to keep in mind that I'm now going to show in her TikTok, this is from 2021. What I was going to show was that lyric about that I'm the girl you die for one. I obviously had it picked out for tonight. I should have put a link to it here, but I didn't. I'm sure if I just look it up real quick, I'd find it. Let me see. Let me do that. Just 10% smarter. That's all we need to be. I bet you I find it in 2 seconds. The girl. Alright, let's see if we find it. Oh, really? I'm not going to say it? Oh, no. I thought I'd find it in a second, and I didn't. But you guys know what I'm talking. Oh, wait, is this it? Nope. That was a view of it. but it wasn't it. I'm the girl you die for. You guys know which one I'm talking about, though. So it is the one from the trial that they show against her. And if I find it while, I'm here, we're looking, I'll show you guys. But it's the one that they show in the trial where she says, I'm the girl you die for. And that was interesting on one hand because of the circumstances. However, I always want to make sure that I'm showing both sides. So with that being said, I would also say that her friend Rosie makes a good point when she says that Rosie herself, along with millions of other teens, also did that same TikTok trend when it was available. So we have to take that into consideration, because if anybody out there has a teenager or knows a teenager, that that's important to them to do TikTok trends and stuff like that. So if this was just a TikTok trend, then is it really what's the word I'm looking for, as evidentiary or evidentiarily sound as they want us to believe it is? Because I think that that's important. When they showed that, they were showing us that she's careless or reckless, and that that she has no regard for life, let alone Dom and Davion's life, which I do think there is an argument for she might have been doing some of these TikToks and things like that way too soon. You know what I mean? There was no need. They said she was doing them from her bed in the hospital. So we have evidence of it. I don't even have to say they said. I can, show you it. I have it right here. Let me see it. Let me put one on. So if I go to it real quick, and then I'll share it in 1 second. Let me just pull it up first. Post crash photos and videos. Let's see which one we should do. They're dated. So let's do, what's this? New Facebook account. What's that? Trank and Zaza. Odine Boy. We never looked that up, the Odine Boy. This is just showing me, I don't have it up there, but it was just showing her. I have different accounts of hers that we really need to look up, but Odine Girl is one of them. That's the one that her mom. This is interesting. Hold on, I'm going to share this with you guys. When she's in jail, she says to her mom that she wants her to change her, is it her Instagram, I want to say? And she kind of gets mad at her mom at first because her mom doesn't change it the way that she wants. But here you'll see it says Odine Girl. Oh no, it's her TikTok. Odine Girl. You guys, I don't think I ever looked that up. We need to look that up. Odine Girl. Let's see what we find. Meanwhile, let me pan out so that we're not just looking at what is happening, that they're at. Like, is this for real, you guys? Look at this guy's face real quick. He's like, what's happening right now? Oh my God, this guy back here is taking his own photos. Over here, they're talking about Jesus. Over here, they're talking about atheism. And then you have Mackenzie and Rosie being a mess. What is happening? That's crazy. Alright, I'm gonna look it up real quick. Oh, dime girl. Wait, I think it's G-I-R something different because I remember her mom. Oh no, it is girl. It's Oh, dime girl. Okay. I bet you she had her mom go back and switch up things. I feel like there was an S on the end of it at first. Is this it? Oh, did they take it down? You guys, you have to see how little. Oh, I'm going to show this. Hold on. Why not? Let me show you what I found. Okay. Okay, so really, like, oh my gosh, somebody did this and they put her in a jumpsuit, unless she was in the jumpsuit for something, I don't know. Oh wow, look at this video. Somebody did the most on this video. Okay. Oh look, they had AI. Oh no, that reminds me of... Oh. While we watch that, I'll read what some of the people wrote on the side. I love her, someone wrote. Is that an engagement ring from Dom, says someone. She's innocent. Appeal her charges, it says. Stop. What? That's ridiculous. Okay, so let's look at, let's see. Let's look at, see, when you put in Oh Dime Girl, there's other people that have the similar tags, so it's not just Mackenzie Shirilla that comes up. So instead, what I'm going to do is click on hashtag Mackenzie Shirilla and see what comes up. Oh, see, look, this is what the problem is. Look, there you go. And that's a problem. And why is this a problem? Because it shows what's important to her. I wouldn't... Oh, no. Forget that. I'm not reading that comment. Alright, next I'm going to show you. Let's see. We're just going to go to the next one. June 25th, Mackenzie's released from Ohio State Prison. Oh, that is not true. People are ridiculous. Shocking new jail call. Let's see.
Getting disgusted at everybody, and you had nothing to gain from this whole situation, and the detective is full of lies and the prosecutor on that road.
What? Did I ever hear this?
And this is total bullshit. He's disgusted at everybody, and you had nothing to gain from this whole situation, and the detective is full of lies and the prosecution's a bunch of shit, and everybody knows that model, that your maker model has acceleration problems, and you have parts, and it could have been this, and he's just, I mean, Kenzie, everything. He just puked on everybody. For you.
What, no one's replying to him?
Oh yeah. So now people are a couple people. Belfi got on there, started talking about it.
Did you say it's echoing? I can't take it. Hey, Blue Aside. Harlot said it was echoing. Yes, echo. I hate everything. I really don't. I shouldn't say that. That's not nice. I take that back. I was using my inside voice out loud. But it is quite annoying. Because all I want is a chance to do this streaming thing, And it's like impossible if you don't have exactly everything you need. Choose where you want to play a sound. So wait, let's see what it says. Why is that down so low? Alright, let's try this. Let's see. Playback. We're gonna see what happens, you guys. Oh, there's so many things. I wish I knew what to do because... Oh wait, it says Windows can automatically adjust the volume of different sounds when you're using your PC to place... Let me see. Okay. That wasn't exactly what I was looking for. Alright, let's try this. This device is currently in use. Oh, wait.
Was like, she's my
Come on, pop them cities.
Can you hear me now? I don't know. All right, can you hear me now? Let me know. If not, I don't know what I did. I hear you now. Shut up, you can. 10% harder. I hope I fixed it. Can hear you now, says Tony. Oh. 10% smarter, you guys. That's all you have to be. So, with that being said, oh, well, I never saw that picture before. Hold on. Oh, well, you guys, was that their friends? There goes, oh my God. You guys, we've seen that picture of Dom and Davion. Remember, it's just them two and they're wearing these outfits. I don't know where they're at this. Oh, this must be Tyler's house. Oh no, where'd it go? All right, here it goes. Well, you guys, so that's Dom. This is Bubba. That's Davion. Who is this, you guys? Do we know? Here goes Mackenzie. Here goes Rosie. Tyler. One of these must be Nina, but I don't know who the other is. I never saw this picture. How cute is that? You guys, is this the night of? Oh, look at this picture. I don't know who everyone is in this picture, but I know that's Rosie. And is that Faith? And then we have Mackenzie, Dom, and Bubba. And I don't know who the other girls are. Oh, here goes one with Rosie. I think her relationship with Rosie is so unique. And I want to do a whole live on it, but I don't want to jump the gun on it because I want you guys to get my point behind why I think it's important. I think her relationship with Rosie is different in that it was a newer relationship and I didn't know that. I don't know why I thought her and Rosie were friends longer than what they were, but finding out that they had only been friends for months, not years, before all of this happened, said so much to me and put so much into perspective. She never talks to Rosie the way that now she talks about Rosie to her mom, right? We know that. On the phone in the jail call, she's like, I'll get rid of Rosie. I'll, cut her off, da-da-da-da-da. But not to Rosie. Oh, come on. I wanted to stop on this picture. All right, hold on. It went by too quick. Oh, is that Tyler, Dom, Bubba? I don't know who that is exactly. Mackenzie, Rosie, and I don't know. One of them must be Nina, but I'm not sure. Does anybody know? This is the picture I was talking about that I often see of Dom and Davion. But I never saw that other picture, that group photo of all of them together. I never saw any of these, actually. This is another good one. It seems like this group hung out a lot. Like, this must be, although it also looked like it might be the same day. Well, that was interesting. So wait, let's see. This one says Mackenzie Shirilla's voice before versus now.
how I keep getting this lucky. Look what I
stay out of trouble. There's not a moment that doesn't pass where I don't think about them. Or
hey, TikTok, I just went to a garage sale. I don't know how I keep getting this lucky.
So I think one of the things is age, but another part of that is also survival in some sense, or not survival, adaptation, if you will. You guys, look, there you go. You could see right in that one that she was tying her pant strap behind her back, and that was giving the illusion of a thong. Wait, ready? Let me show you. Look, right there, that was one of them. So, of course there's going to be words covering it. She does it here too. Oh, I wish I could blow this up. If you're on like your cell phone or whatever and you could blow this up, you could see it right here. You could see that she took the straps or whatever, the strings rather, from the tie, and she ties it around her back to give it the illusion of thongs. She has all this expensive stuff and not a pair of thongs. Look, she does it in this one too. I can't believe, like, what's up with her hair there? Like, what's happening? But you know how else you could tell, you guys? See how the string doesn't go on her, like, down the back? It stops at her waist. That's because she has it tied and tucked up in her jacket. See that right there? That was a good catch on my part. Oh, that's all her makeup. It says, oh look, she does it here too. Another one. All you have to do is blow this up a little bit closer and you can see it here as well. I want to stop it on this side. Oh, you can see it. Oh, if I go back just a tiny bit. Of course there's words right there, but you can see it tied right in the back there. She doesn't have it done at all there. No thongs there. Oh, okay. She's giving us all this stuff there. Oh, wait, let's see.
You might next time I come out.
What time is that?
I don't know.
I don't know, maybe around 9, after 9.
If I can call you around 9, I'll call you around 9, but it might be a little bit later.
That's fine. That's okay. Just let me work for a little bit.
I love you, love you, love you, love you, love you, love you.
I do love you too. I love you too.
I'm about to be done. I love you, love you, love you, love you, Mom.
Love you too. Oh my gosh, I wish I could just like really talk to you right now, but I'm like scared to ask questions.
Ask my mom, she will tell you everything. She knows the answers to everything.
So Monday, you're gonna be like finding out.
So in this particular jail call, you guys, that I just listened to, because you guys know that I've listened to all of them, I've taken notes on all of them, I have all of them. I've just been giving you guys a little bit of a break from all of them. But this is interesting because she's talking to a friend, and the friend's asking her how she's able to keep her social media, and Mackenzie tells her to ask her mom, that her mom knows the answers to all of that. That's interesting.
Oh? Yes.
Oh?
Yes, I'm guilty of that, but I'm going to be on the news again, so you will see, too.
Holy shit.
Monday at 1 o'clock, I'll be probably on the news again.
Why are they so upset?
So if you guys, I don't know if you agree with me, but there's absolutely no remorse here in her voice. She's literally like, you'll see me on Monday at 1 o'clock on the news probably. Tony, I agree with you. Everyone is below her in her eyes. Casey says it was stupid enough when girls did it with their underwear, and she looks even stupider. I couldn't agree more. Steph says, hey Steph, why tie it and not just, I don't know, wear a Steph, she has hundreds of dollars of clothing on and sneakers. You can't buy a $2 thong? I agree, Steph. I don't get it. No, like, I actually at one point was like, oh, that's pretty creative. Stupid, but creative.
to hear with you. Like, you got in a fucking car accident. Like, I've gotten in 3 of those. Like, it's... I love you so much. I'll talk to you again. What time can I call you again? Like, call you my next time I come out? What time is that? I don't know. Maybe around 9. After 9. If I can call you around 9, I'll call you around 9. But it might be a little bit later. I do love you too. I love you too.
Are you fucking serious?
Oh, it says I crashed out today. I'm confused. Let's watch it again. I don't think this is Mackenzie. Although the voice sounded... Travis. Hey, Travis. But you guys, let me play that again. Listen, the voice sounds familiar, but I didn't know what this is supposed to be. Oh, thank you, a wise woman. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. And Heidi, I agree with you. Yes.
Are you fucking serious?
What's up? What's up?
Are you fucking serious?
What's up? What's up?
Didn't that sound like Dom? I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of people that sound like Dom. But that was weird. I never saw that. I don't know what that was. It says Mackenzie Shirilla, but... Oh my god, it says I was so small here. Is that fake?
Why am I ugly? JK, bitch, that.
She's unbelievable. Oh, this is one day ago. It says such a baddie. I wonder who this is. I'm home. Yeah, right. Why does it... Everybody keeps saying that. She's not out. There must be like a rumor going around. Oh my god, Mackenzie Shirilla says I'm just way too self-aware. But that says one day ago again. What the hell is happening? I wonder... Wait, let me open something in a new tab. Just out of curiosity. 18,000 followers. I wonder, how do we find out, like, how do you find out when this started? Like, I wonder who this is. This right here, there's actually, oh my god, how weird is that? Isn't that Celeste? Oh, okay. That was crazy. But yeah, so I don't know whose TikTok this really is. Oh, this says I took Miss Russo out for dinner. What's it? So, is this really her thing? Well, no. That's ridiculous and not true. This isn't hers, is it? Does anybody know? And then someone said, I can't message you, and then it says it will work soon. The link is up. It's needed with a fatty. So happy for you, thanks. What is happening? Are people serious? But anyway, it said in news report, it said, Mackenzie Shirilla has been released from prison. According to recent reports and official court filings, a 22-year-old was officially discharged, as if that would happen. Like, what? And there's people out there that believe it? You guys, somebody had a benefit for her? Why does she insist? And I don't know that she has anything to do with this, but why does she insist on having like an honor or in memory of stuff? This says join my army. Get the heck out. I'm out. I just made flyers to bring awareness. People are crazy. This one says I'm on TV now. I wonder who does. Oh my God. Look at this. This must be AI. But look how funny that is.
The car! Going too fast! I'm jumping out! Oh my God, I made it! Stop the car!
I didn't even notice that. That was crazy. A wise woman. Thank you so much for my makeup brush. I appreciate you. Wait, what is this stuff? People put the car. Ah. Okay. This was fun, it says. Someone said, hey, are you the real Mackenzie? If so, I love you so much. Do your thing. And they wrote, yes. Oh my God, you're so cute. What? Thank you, Ivy. I appreciate you. Wow, thank you for that flower. That is so generous of you. I appreciate you so much, Ivy. You are so very generous. Oh, Heidi said that that benefit was held the same night as the one for Dom and Davion. Oh my God. Well, that's not in great taste, right? Here's a huge group chat. It says.
There's a huge group chat for you.
already know.
And we're all talking about you right now.
What'd you say?
There's a group chat your mom made of like hella people. There's 15 people on this group chat all rooting for you.
Oh, I love that's like all my like people like Faith though. Like I was just thinking I was like Faith, you are really like the person who's riding for me the hardest, and I just like wish we hung out like every.
I didn't think it was hers either, but thank you for confirming that stuff. You guys, did you just hear what she said? What? Have we talked about what her judge said yet? Yes. You know what? Let me go back to that real quick. You're so right. Just say, lawyer, I am going to make you proud. We did talk about it for the first little bit, but I'm glad that you're here because this is some lawyer stuff. And we have our other resident lawyer in here as well. So let me actually thank you for saying that, because I hate when people start with one thing, and not always, not that I hate it, I shouldn't say that, but I worked hard on that live. So you're correct. This is what I'm going to do. We're going to switch over real quick again to that stuff. We did go over some of it, but I didn't finish everything. So let me go back and reshare my screen. We are going to move to, well, let me show you this part real quick. So this is section 2903.01 of the Ohio Laws and Administrative Rules. Okay, hey crew. And this right here is going to show us the difference between aggravated murder and murder. So I'm not going to read the entire document because I don't want to bore anybody, but just know that I can also put this in, or it is already in my references. So here, the important part is, A says, and again, this is for aggravated murder, it says, no person shall purposely, with prior calculation and design, cause the death of another or the unlawful termination of another's pregnancy. Then, if we go to this next one, murder, which is 2903.02, no person shall purposely cause the death of another or the unlawful termination of another's pregnancy. So I was like, when I first read that, I was like, like, what the hell's the difference? Ivy, thank you so much. I was like, what the hell is the difference? I don't understand. So here I realized, and I know that my lawyer friends out there can verify this or validate this, however you want to say it. I think the difference here that I see in the two definitions is the phrase with prior calculation and design. So tell me if I'm right, Thomas and my law friend. Is it with prior calculation and design? I believe that that was the difference that I found in both. So let me then go over to, let me share this. So we read the yellow. So let me go back up. We have to read real quick. Not real quick, but let me go to my already high. Oh, look, Thorsty's here. All right, let's see. I have to go down further. Let's read. So real quick, before I go to read that, I should have just showed you real quick where this yellow. So if you did come in later, we did already read this. So this part was literally laying out, I apologize for Thorsty. That's Thor, but when Thor's thirsty. So this right here is, I read this out loud already, so I'm not going to reread it, but this was, oh wait, is this the right one? No, hold on. Don't make a liar of me. Sorry, wrong one. This is the one. My bad. So we already read part of this. So with this one, we were reading what the judge said, and we read it to the end part, but just the green. We didn't read anything else. So the green part, just in case you came in later and you weren't here when we read that part, this was the actual ruling. So it just in quick, I'm not going to reread the whole thing, but oh, Travis said yes, that's the difference, premeditated. Oh, see, Travis, I'm listening. I pay attention. So when count 1 and 2, and this is in the juvenile court, aggravated murder, an unclassified felony, I do not find that the state has shown probable cause as it relates to those two charges. However, as it relates to counts 3, 4, 5, and 6, those are the murder charges, all of those being unclassified felonies. I have found that the state of Ohio has met their burden as it relates to those, and that there's probable cause as it relates to those elements of those offenses. So that was, but we read the whole rest of it, which I'm not going to reread, but there were, I highlighted 2 other sections. One second. So, excuse me, since the one's right after the other, I'm just going to read it in order. And again, it's not the whole document. I just highlighted a section. So I wrote here, I know that one of the arguments that Mr. O'Donnell brought up in his closing argument was the fact, and again, I'm reading from the bind over part 3, was the fact that there was not a witness that had made an identification of Mackenzie, which has something that I hadn't noticed as well. So I had asked the state of Ohio to prove case law on that. I did review that case law, and I also did my own research on these issues. As it relates to probable cause hearing, the state does need to prove probable cause. And what does that mean? Okay, so just in case people out there don't know what it means, let's listen up. They need to show that there's more than mere suspicion of guilt, but need not prove evidence providing guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, which is the burden at the time of trial. So the court must weigh the evidence presented and determine whether there is fair probability of criminal activity. And the state does have to show that there's credible evidence as it relates to each of the elements of the charges. And so when I make a decision, I have to go through each of the counts and make a decision as it relates to probable cause on each of those counts. Come here, Thor. As it relates to identification, the case law is clear that identity can generally be shown by circumstantial evidence, and the offender does not have to visually be identified in court by a witness. So, at this point, the court would be weighing whether the state has provided credible evidence as to the identification of Mackenzie through this probable cause hearing. Also, I know that the state of Ohio did provide some case law, and in counts 1 and 2, they are alleging aggravated murder with prior calculation and design. And so I know there was some case law provided on that, and I did do my own research on that, and I just wanted to put on the record that according to the State versus Sanders 2022, Ohio 2261, in that case they stated that the Ohio Supreme Court had held that Thor, come here, go lay down. Had held that the statute's own terms suggested advanced reasoning to formulate a purpose to kill. They go on to further to state that the evidence of an act committed on the spur of the moment or after momentary consideration is not evidence of a premeditated decision or a studied consideration of the method and means to cause of death. While they go on to state that there's no bright line test for determining whether the defendant's actions show a premeditated decision of studied consideration to kill, they state that each case turns on a particular fact that the evidence persisted at trial, or here that it is credible evidence as to those elements. And Ohio courts have traditionally considered 3 factors. So this was another point that I wanted to add on. I made it blue, a different color, because I had different notes for it. So it was a way for me to categorize it in my notes easily. So it says, and Ohio courts have traditionally considered 3 factors in looking whether there's prior calculation and design. So this part I should have probably read first. When we read the Ohio statute, and I said to you guys, and I asked Travis, is the difference here that, what was it? I don't know the exact terms, but it was specifically talking about prior calculation and design. He said yes. So here it says, in Ohio courts have traditionally considered 3 factors. So she considered 3 factors when saying that they did not have probable cause for that charge based on prior calculation and design. That was for aggravated murder. She says there was no probable cause for that, so that they could not charge on that in the if they went ahead with prosecution, which they do. But she does say that murder is okay. One thing that I think people out there who are not, law aficionados like myself, that I'm not, meaning I'm not a law aficionado, I thought it was interesting for me to read, and one of the things that I wanted to make sure that everybody realized tonight on the live was that although the judge made that decision that aggravated murder was not, they did not meet the burden of proof, but they did for murder and for other charges, that because she met the burden of proof on the murder charges, and there were other ones as well, it automatically, because Mackenzie was 17 years old, it automatically gets transferred over to adult court. So that wasn't, like, keeping it in juvenile court was not an option based on the way the Ohio law is written. Now, for those of you two bad actors, better late than never, how you doing? For those of you that know the law, especially in Ohio, obviously, can you tell me if I'm wrong? So again, it wasn't really that the judge didn't say, like, oh, I want to keep this in juvenile, or like they don't have the opportunity to do that, or I want this to go to adult. It was because Mackenzie was 17 years old and charged with murder. So by the way that the law is written, because those boxes are checked, it automatically goes to the adult courts. So the judge didn't make any decision on whether it should go to the adult court or not. It wasn't within the judge's decision making, if you will, options. And if you guys know something different, let me know. So then it says here that there's 3 factors when considering prior calculation and design. So this goes to the aggravated murder and why she didn't find that there was probable cause. It says that did the accused and the victim know each other? And if so, was the relationship strained? Did the accused give thought or preparation to choosing the murder weapon or murder site? And was the act of drawn out or an almost instantaneous eruption of events? While those factors are not dispositive, the court should weigh these factors with the totality of the circumstances surrounding a murder to determine whether the evidence showed that the defendant or an alleged delinquent had the time and opportunity to plan a homicide, and circumstances show a scheme designed to implement the calculated decision to kill. So I have taken that into consideration and weighed that with the facts in this case. And for that count, you guys, it just says that as it relates to count 1 and 2, aggravated murder, an unclassified felony, I do not find that the state has shown probable cause as it relates to those 2 charges. So there you go. So the big thing here is that we need to all remember that is the difference. Maybe this should be the thumbnail or whatever, but it wouldn't have really made sense if I did that. But I guess what I'm saying is the point here is we're looking at what makes something an aggravated murder as opposed to murder under the law. And it was there. I'm trying to get back to it real quick. It was here it goes. Does it show? Oh, where was it? Anyway, you guys knew what it was. What was it? I'll find it because now it's gonna. Prior calculation and design. So the words prior calculation and design, in my opinion, are probably, most important here. Travis says correct. Was not within the judge's discretion. Mandatory to adult court. There you go, you guys. See? Look at that. I have optics I sent to Vona. Oh, crew. I haven't checked my email. I'm so sorry. It says MSM, Mackenzie Shirilla's mom. Is that what that is? Hides optics about Shirilla's and Russo's optics. Oh no, is hiding optics as well as optics are hide. Huh? It says many are not being non-biased. So crew. I am glad you said something about that because I think I have something written in my notes about that. What I wrote was, let me see. Let me get to my note. All right. That's not the part. Hold on. I don't want to go off topic. And I have it right here, so just give me 1 sec to grab what I'm about to say. It's just my notes, and earlier when I closed out my notes, I opened up a different version that I had. You guys, you have no idea. I write like 5 different documents instead of like correct, like, I don't know. You guys just have no idea. I wish you guys could see what my brain does in one day. Okay, so here, what I wrote was, here we go. Okay. People use the word premeditated, intentional, planned, and on purpose as if they are interchangeable. So I just read you guys the Ohio statute, and I also read you from the bind over court proceedings. Now I'm going to give you my summary or whatever of it all. Okay, so the Ohio statute gave the judge a narrow question: did the evidence support prior calculation and design? She found that it did not reach probable cause on that extra element. That finding also limits what we should claim about the adult verdict. Judge Russo convicted Mackenzie of the murder counts that reached adult court. The aggravated murder counts had already ended at bindover. When the adult judge described the crash as controlled, methodical, deliberate, intentional, and purposeful, she was explaining why she found purpose on the charges before her. And remember, Mackenzie had she didn't have a jury trial. She had a bench trial, which means that the judge is the one that alone, whether she's guilty or not. So I actually think the juvenile ruling makes the later murder analysis more interesting. So, and my legal friends, listen up here to see. And again, please tell me if I'm wrong on anything. It forces us to ask where purpose came from, okay? If the state did not have enough for an advanced plan, what evidence convinced 2 later courts that the crash itself was purposeful, right? So I try to answer this question. So here we go. So right after rejecting aggravated murder, the juvenile judge finds probable cause for murder. So let's look at what supports that purpose. Sorry, I need a sip. Okay. So we know that the vehicle data showed, this is just some of the things for why she came to this. The vehicle data showed that the accelerator at 100%. The Malibu reached close to 100 miles per hour. The recorded data did not show braking in the final seconds. The car struck the curb, became airborne, came down, and continued into a brick wall. Dominic and Davion died from the crash. So these are all reasons we need to see why the judge rejects aggravated murder, but found probable cause for murder. The state's experts found no mechanical failure that explained the acceleration and impact. The medical evidence presented at trial did not establish a medical event that caused Mackenzie to lose control. Those findings matter because they remove 2 major alternate explanations from the court's view. The video, okay, matters too. So the adult judge watched the vehicle's movement and considered the route. She considered the steering, the speed, timing, and direction of travel. The prosecution argued that the car was controlled through the turn and then accelerated directly toward the wall. So what they mean was, as the car turns the corner, we even seen the turn signal, that was all controlled. It wasn't until that corner was turned on Almina, I guess it was, that she then goes and continues to go until she hits the brick wall. Okay, so these findings show, what was I going to say? Oh, the defense. I'm sorry. The defense challenged the conclusion that the actions proved a purpose to kill. However, I don't think that the defense did enough. So intent lives inside a person, you guys. So let me say that again. Intent lives inside a person. Evidence lives outside of them. Courts bridge the gap by looking at conduct and circumstances. Here, the driving impulse were the core conduct. The relationship evidence, prior incident, threats, route, timing, and lack of supported mechanical or medical explanations gave the court context for interpreting those inputs. Again, someone tell me if I'm wrong. I want to be careful with their earlier relationship evidence. A bad relationship does not make a later tragedy intentional. A threat can be relevant without becoming a confession. A previous dangerous incident can show a pattern and still contain factual disputes. Each piece has to earn its place in the evidence pool. The July 17th highway incident that we talked about on the last live, that happened 13 days before the fatal crash. Dominic called his mom for help during that event. Witnesses gave evidence about Mackenzie's driving and the conflict that happened in the car. I believe it was Hench that goes and picks up Dominic on the side of the highway and then gives this evidence. Mackenzie later gave a different account involving Dominic pulling the wheel. That dispute was important because the prosecution used the incident to support a motive, intent, and absence of accident. Let me say that again, okay? The fact that Mackenzie later gives a different account that shows in text messages that she says Dominic turned the wheel and put her life in danger, that is a dispute that the prosecution, that the defense should have brought more to light, because the prosecution used that incident to support the motive, intent, and the absence of an accident. The defense used the conflicting versions to challenge the weight of the evidence, but did not go far enough. The court also heard the relationship appeared loving at other times, so some witnesses described ordinary interactions before the crash. Those facts gave the defense something real to work with. They also show why a relationship cannot be summarized by one label. Volatile relationships often include affection, reconciliation, but they also include fear, anger, dependency, and future plans, security. I mean, the list just goes on and on, the positives and negatives, making it that much harder to get out of this type of relationship. At the bindover, the juvenile judge needed fair probability. The full accelerator reading, speed, path into the wall, lack of braking, and the absence of an established mechanical or medical cause provided enough evidence of the purpose to move the murder charges forward. At trial, the state carried much of the heavier burden. Judge Russo heard the witnesses, reviewed the vehicle evidence, watched the videos, viewed locations along the route, and evaluated the competing explanations. She found the purposeful crash explanation proven beyond a reasonable doubt, you guys. And that's that's what we need to look at here, because that's what's important in deciding whether Mackenzie's guilty of this crime or not. So, and she found that she was. So, with that being said, the key step here was conscious control. So the prosecution said that Mackenzie pressed the accelerator fully, maintained it throughout a violent sequence, and directed the vehicle into the building. The defense said that the data described the car's movement and did not by itself reveal the driver's internal state. The trial judge connected the physical sequence to purpose after hearing the complete case. When people argue that the black box data proves everything, they slip the final reasoning step. The data shows recorded inputs and movements. So the fact finder identified what those mean, and when combined with the rest of the evidence, Judge Russo found deliberate action because, for her at least, these pieces converged. So, real quick, not real quick, but you know what I mean. When it comes to, I have a lot of stuff here on psychology, but we're getting into many, a long time on here, and I don't want anybody to feel like they're here longer than they have to be. It has been a minute. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to show real quick, what did I put here? I want to give the defense argument its strongest presentation because the state case only becomes clearer when it's tested seriously. So the defense emphasized that several witnesses saw love and normal behavior in the relationship. People around Mackenzie and Dominic did not describe the obvious murder plan in the hours before the crash. The defense also raised pots and the possibility of another medical event. It suggested distraction, loss of control, or reckless driving. It challenged the idea that the vehicle data alone could establish a conscious purpose to kill both passengers. That argument focuses on the gap between movement and intention. The accelerator can be at 100% during a purposeful act. It can also be at 100% if a driver experiences a catastrophic medical event, becomes disoriented, freezes, or presses the wrong pedal. The physical input has to be interpreted. And just so you guys know, a lot of those things were things that I hear in chat. Just know that I take notes after our lives at night of the things that you guys tell me so that I can reflect on those things and include them in my analyses. So, that argument, though, focuses on the gap. Oh, I just said that. The defense also had room to challenge the relationship evidence. A volatile argument 13 days earlier does not automatically explain what happened on July 31st. Witness accounts on the highway incident differed, and that wasn't really brought up. Affection and future plans existed alongside conflict. We also didn't see the defense argue about or show there was actual in the evidence files, you guys, and I don't know. Let me see if I look, because I did save those videos. I wonder if I could see from that which one, but I had it in there. It's so annoying. A video to show you guys that literally shows what Mackenzie tells her mom that she wanted added, which is the Dominic's like yelling at her in the car. He's like telling her, I'm trying to think, I don't want to say something that wasn't. Let me just see if I could look at it real quick here. I think it was on Snapchat. Hold on, I think I would see it right away. If it's meant to be, I'm gonna click on it. If not, I found it. All right, there was 2 of them. Hold on, let me share. I can't believe I found it. Hold on, let me close some of these hundreds of things out. All right, let me share this. This is one of the pieces of evidence that Mackenzie asks her mom, actually, in a jail call, why the defense didn't share, and her mom gives her one of those excuses that, Mackenzie, don't worry. If we have to appeal, this is just more evidence that we have for our appeal. And we know from the appeal that it wasn't really relevant. So let me just show you this not show you, but let you hear. So this is one of 2.
Put that shit in my window and see what goddamn happens. We have fucking problems.
So this one's interesting to me because she tapes it with the intent of getting Dom, making it look like Dom is out of control, and I think it actually makes her seem, but this is one of the two. I'm going to show you the other one in 1 second, but I want to replay this. It's only 30 seconds.
Yeah, we have problems. We have problems. We have problems. Dom, put that shit in my window and see what goddamn happens. We have fucking problems.
So that's the first video. The second one I'm going to show you too. And again, these are the two videos that she wanted her mom to ask Jim, her lawyer, why they aren't showing them. And her mom's excuse at the time was, Mackenzie, I don't know how this works, Mackenzie. If we have to appeal it, we're going to have all this evidence and stuff. But that's not, I don't know how that really worked out for her. So here, let me share the second piece. Yeah, her seasoned attorney. Oh, the brake lights. I did go over that. And I also went over that in a live with Daniel. Okay, so this is the second one. This one, you do see Dom more temperamental than you do in any other video. But one, he doesn't know he's being taped, which you could say about Mackenzie in that video where he gets her on tape. So you could say the same thing.
Do not speak a fucking word. If anything comes out your mouth that's gonna be disrespectful, instigating, or anything at all, like I'm whipping this car over, okay? And you are getting the fuck out immediately. I don't care where it is. Do not say anything that could piss me off, okay? You know what the fuck could piss me off. Just don't say a single fucking word. Good.
Okay, you guys, so let me play that one more time. So this is the only time that I really ever hear Dom being temperamental. I have to be honest with you. Who the hell knows what the hell she was saying before she hit record? So, you know, and if you listen to the other one, he literally says something about her being temperamental or something. So she could have been, you know, poking. And I don't know, but let's see.
Do not speak a fucking word. If anything comes out your mouth that's gonna be disrespectful, instigating, or anything at all, like I'm whipping this car over, okay? You are getting the fuck out immediately. I don't care where it is. Do not say anything that could piss me off, okay? You know what the fuck could piss me off. Just don't say a single fucking word. Good.
Sorry, I had to let her out. But you're welcome, crew. I'm glad that I played this too because I want to show the evidence from all the sides and not just the ones that, you know, work for one thing and not the other. But I thought that that was important because this shows that the defense had room to argue more about the volatility of the relationship and stuff. And I don't think that the defense did enough, in my opinion. Let's see. So people can still examine the evidence as they say it, right? And they could weigh the evidence. I mean, everybody, you know, weigh the evidence a little bit different. But with Judge Russo, we know that she accepted the explanation. She described the driving as controlled and deliberate. What's this next part I have? Oh, I made a note here. Wait, I wrote people can still examine the evidence like on their own. The verdict does not require us to pretend that the internal process was captured on camera. It requires us to state accurately that the trial judge found purpose beyond a reasonable doubt after comparing the competing explanations. So I think this section is important for ethical true crime coverage, giving the defense the argument accurately does not disrespect Dominic or Davion. It actually shows why the conviction means something. A verdict reached after alternatives were heard carries more analytical weight, in my opinion, than a verdict that's presented as inevitable from the start. It also keeps us honest. If we can only defend our view by making the other side sound ridiculous, our view probably needs more work, in my opinion. The defense had unidentifiable theories. The court found the evidence against those theories stronger, at least for the judge. The direct appeal, there was a direct appeal right after that. Mackenzie challenged the juvenile probable cause determination and the adult convictions. So the 8th District Court of Appeals affirmed the challenge, but I'm going to show you guys real quick. Let me share that with you. So again, this is going to be, oh, come on. Here we go. State versus Shirilla. And over here, the part that I have highlighted is when considering the appellant's claim that the conviction is against the manifested weight of the evidence, the Court of Appeals sits as the 13th juror and may disagree with the fact finder's resolution of the conflicting testimony. Let me make this bigger for you guys. There you go. And I could also put my picture back on. I do need to take a sip of this. The gibberish talk, Andrea, if you ever want to annoy yourself, I was able to translate them. So there you go. Hi, Just Pepper. With this video of Dom upset with Mackenzie, you can see what the date is and cross-reference the text messages. You're so smart. Hold on, let's see. The date, of course, does it say it on there? Did it say it on there? Let me see. I'm going to pull it back up on my end and see if it has a date. Because the way that it's stored as Mackenzie and Dominic argument. I don't know where I would find the date. I have it open. Properties, maybe. So the properties just tells me that it's an argument between Shirilla and Russo. The length, 40 seconds. It tells me the resolution. Yeah, it doesn't really tell me the date. But I'm sure we can find the date. But let me read this part to you guys real quick. So when considering they're the 13th jurors, so that's what the appellate court is saying. So what they're looking at is that they're weighing the evidence and all the reasonable inferences, consider the witness's credibility, and determine whether in resolving conflicts in the evidence, the trier of fact clearly lost its way and created such a manifest miscarriage of justice that the conviction must be reversed and a new trial ordered. And then it looks at case law. It then, I'm going to skip down a minute. It says, Shirilla contends that the weight of the evidence established that Shirilla and Russo's relationship was in a good place at the time of the fatal crash. Berlingus and Verja saw them shortly before the crash and did not report anything out of the ordinary. Others who knew Shirilla and Russo, and it has a few of their last names, and Shirilla's mother also testified that the two seemed to be in love. Shirilla points out that her POTS condition may have led to the medical issue that caused the accident, or she may have had some other medical emergency like a heart attack or seizure. Shirilla posited that the crash, meanwhile, you guys, I swear to God, whenever I see positive, I feel like AI was involved. Shirilla posited that the crash would have been caused by distracting driving or simple reckless, contrary to the testimony of Detective Jesus, and that Shirilla often drove distracted or recklessly, according to her social media. She argues that in light of all of these possible other explanations, that the manifest weight of the evidence weighs against the verdicts. After careful review of the record, we find that this is not the exceptional case where the evidence weighed heavily against the verdicts. A conviction is not against the manifested weight of evidence solely because of a fact finder heard inconsistency or contradictory testimony. State versus Wade, citing State versus Asbury, see also State versus Mann. And then it says, while the jury may take note of the inconsistencies and resolve or discount them accordingly, such inconsistencies do not render a defendant's conviction against the manifest weight of sufficiency of the evidence. And then again, there's more case law, and it says the decision whether and to what extent to believe the testimony of a particular witness is within the particular competence of the fact finder who has seen and heard the witness. Here, the record reflects that the fact finder was persuaded by the forensic reconstruction evidence and other evidence showing the constant maximum acceleration leading to the crash in connection with Shirilla's previous threats and the fact that her cell phone had been located in the area of the crash in the days leading up to the crash. While certain friends and family testified about the loving nature of the relationship between Shirilla and Russo, other witnesses testified that July 2022 also saw significant fighting between them. The later claim was corroborated by video evidence. Testimony established that these fights involved Shirilla threatening Russo and hitting him. In one instance, according to a witness, Shirilla threatened to crash a vehicle that she and Russo were traveling in together. While Dr. Singh testified that it's possible that Shirilla could have suffered a medical emergency like a seizure or mini stroke while still appearing normal in the medical examination, other evidence makes this potential explanation seem unreasonable. For example, Shirilla denied having adverse medical conditions when applying for a driver's license both before and after the crash. Moreover, someone manually moved the gear shift back to drive after it was moved to neutral in the seconds before the crash. There was no evidence presented that any medical condition could have caused Shirilla to simultaneously lose the ability to take her foot off the accelerator or hit the brakes while also intentionally manipulating the gear shift. A distracted driving incident is also not consistent with the forensic evidence, which shows that Shirilla never took her foot off the accelerator even as the car hit the curb when airborne, landed, and continued toward a brick wall. Shirilla argued her case to the trial court, and the court was permitted to reject any portion of the state's evidence or witness testimony that was inconsistent or otherwise unbelievable. We cannot say that this is the exceptional case in which evidence weighs heavily against the court's verdicts. We therefore overrule Shirilla's third assignment of error. In her first assignment of error, Shirilla contends that the juvenile court erred by transferring her case to general division of the common pleas court. Her argument largely tracks her sufficiency argument above, namely that the evidence presented during the probable cause hearing established that Shirilla and Russo were in love and getting along perfectly fine before the crash, that there was insufficient evidence that Shirilla purposely crashed the car. Juvenile courts possess exclusive jurisdiction over children alleged to be delinquent for committing acts that would constitute a crime if committed by an adult. However, under certain circumstances, the juvenile court has the duty to transfer a case or bind a juvenile over to the adult criminal system where the juvenile may be tried as an adult and face criminal sanctions. There are two types of transfer under Ohio's juvenile justice system: mandatory transfers and discretionary transfers. A mandatory transfer removes discretion from judges in the transfer decision in certain situations. Discretionary transfer allows judges discretion to transfer or bind over to adult court certain juveniles who do not appear to be amenable to care or rehabilitation within the juvenile system or appear to be a threat to public safety. This one case that they refer to has a relevant part that says, after a complaint has been filed alleging that a child is a delinquent child for committing one or more acts that would be an offense if committed by an adult, if any of those acts would be aggravated murder, attempted aggravated murder, or attempted murder if committed by an adult, the juvenile court at a hearing shall transfer the case if the child was 16 or 17 years of age at the time of the act charged. That would be, and it lists all those charges again, and that there's probable cause to believe that the child committed the act charged. After careful review, we disagree with the appellant's contention that the state failed to establish probable cause in the juvenile court. In other words, if a child is eligible for mandatory bindover, and if probable cause exists to believe that the juvenile committed the act charged, the juvenile court must enter an order to transfer. So the judge had no options, you guys. So then it says, to establish probable cause in a bindover proceeding, the state has the burden to present credible evidence supporting each element of the offense. Probable cause in this context requires credible evidence that raises more than mere suspicion of guilt, but does not require evidence of guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. In other words, probable cause in this context is a fair probability, not prima facie showing of criminal activity. Then it says, and it's quoting case law, it says, it does not require a showing that a belief is correct or that it is more likely true than false. In considering whether probable cause exists, the juvenile court must evaluate the quality of the evidence presented by the state in support of probable cause, as well as any evidence presented by the respondent that attacks probable cause, to determine whether the state has presented credible evidence going to each element of the offense charged. However, while the juvenile court has a duty to assess the credibility of the evidence and to determine whether the state has presented credible evidence going to each element of the charged offense, it is not permitted to exceed the limited scope of the bindover hearing or to assume the role of the ultimate fact finder. The juvenile court's probable cause determination in a mandatory bindover proceeding involves questions of both fact and law. As a result, our view of the juvenile court's decision is mixed. We defer to the juvenile court's determinations regarding witness credibility, reviewing those determinations for abuse of discretion. However, whether the state has presented sufficient evidence to support a finding of probable cause is a question of law. We review de novo without any difference to the juvenile court. At this stage of the proceedings, the state was not required to prove the truth of the allegations against Shirilla. It had to present credible evidence showing probable cause supporting each element of the offenses charged. Based on the evidence presented at the probable cause hearing, we disagree with Shirilla that the state failed to meet this burden. As detailed above, the evidence established that Shirilla pressed the accelerator pedal to 100% acceleration, causing the vehicle to reach approximately 100 miles per hour before crashing into a brick wall, killing Russo and Flanagan. Whether there was probable cause to commit the murder turned essentially on whether there was credible evidence that Shirilla purposely caused the crash. There was. Shirilla was examined by medical professionals after the incident, and there was no medical evidence that she suffered any adverse medical event that caused the crash. The vehicle was examined by an expert who determined that there was no evidence that a medical failure caused the crash either. The state also presented credible evidence of a potential motive Shirilla may have had for causing the crash. Investigators testified that Russo's brother told them that Russo was considering ending the relationship. Russo's mother told them about the incident on the highway in which Russo and Shirilla tried to crash the car. While there was evidence suggesting that Shirilla communicated that Russo was at fault for that highway incident, and while the state could not present evidence establishing that Shirilla was angry at Russo or otherwise upset immediately before the crash, the state only needed to establish probable cause at this stage of the proceedings. After reviewing the evidence presented at the hearing, we conclude that the state did establish probable cause, and therefore that there was no error when the juvenile court ordered the case transferred to the General Division of the Common Pleas Court for prosecution. We overrule Shirilla's first assignment of error. Boom. Oh my goodness. There was another one here. Let me see. Is it a lot longer? Because I didn't highlight this. I don't know why. Let's see. Oh, okay. Let me just read this part real quick. The fourth assignment of error, Shirilla contends that the trial court erred by allowing the state to introduce what she characterizes as improper character or other acts evidence pursuant to blah blah. The state had filed both a notice of intent to use other acts evidence as well as motion to introduce other acts evidence, including evidence that on July 17, 2022, Shirilla was driving when Interstate 71 with Russo as a passenger when she threatened to immediately crash the vehicle during a disagreement between them, that she was observed hitting him with her hands during that incident. Also, the notice indicated that the state intended to introduce evidence that on occasions in July 2022, Shirilla came to Russo's home, and when he refused to allow her entry, angrily yelled at him, beat on the door, and threatened him. The trial court granted the state's motion. The state stated that this evidence was not offered to show Shirilla's bad character, but rather to prove Shirilla's motive, intent, knowledge, absence of a mistake or accident, and to provide context with respect to Shirilla's relationship with Russo. Specifically, the state argued as follows. Shirilla's past threats and aggressions towards Russo provide an important perspective of how Shirilla responds in situations where she is displeased or in disagreement with others. Further, the evidence shows that Shirilla was aware of her ability to cause harm to the victims, especially by means of her own vehicle, and how she could use the power of threats and control to ultimately reach the outcome she desired. Evidence of any other crime, wrong, or act is not admissible to prove a person's character in order to show that on a particular occasion the person acted in accordance with the character. However, evidence of other crimes, wrongs, or acts may be admissible for other purposes, such as proving motive, opportunity, intent, preparation, plan, knowledge, identity, absence of a mistake, or lack of accident. The key is that the evidence must prove something other than the defendant's disposition to commit certain acts. Thus, while the evidence showing the defendant's character or propensity to commit crimes or acts is forbidden, evidence of other acts is admissible when the evidence is probative of a separate, non-propensity-based issue. For other acts evidence to be admissible, 1. The other act's evidence must be relevant. 2. Other act's evidence must be introduced for purpose other than providing propensity, such as one or more of the permitted purposes set forth in whatever 404B. 2 and 3. Probative value of the other act's evidence must not be substantially outweighed by the risk of unfair prejudice, confusion of the issues, or misleading the fact finder. Evidence is relevant if it has any tendency to make the existence of any fact that is of consequence to the determination of the action more probable or less probable than it would be without the evidence. In the EVIDR, whatever, 404B context, however, the inquiry is not whether the other act's evidence is relevant to the ultimate determination of guilt. Hartman at 26, the proffered evidence must be relevant to legitimate non-propensity purpose, and the non-propensity purpose for which the evidence is offered must go to material issue that is actually in dispute between the parties. The relevant, I'm not going to read that part. Courts are precluded from admitting improper character evidence, but have discretion to admit other acts evidence that is admissible for permissible purpose. Here, the challenged evidence went to a material issue that was actually in dispute between the parties, whether Shirilla purposely crashed the vehicle. Evidence that Shirilla and Russo were fighting in July 2022, including days before the crash, that Shirilla had threatened Russo, and that she had threatened specifically to crash a vehicle in which they were both driving, was directly and meaningfully relevant and probative of Shirilla's motive, intent, and lack of accident or mistake in crashing the vehicle. After careful consideration, we find that the probative value of this evidence for these non-propensity purposes was not substantially outweighed by the risk of unfair prejudice, confusion of the issues, or misleading the fact finder. Shirilla also complains that Detective Hazo, testified that Shirilla was seen in social media photographs smoking marijuana in a vehicle. She says that the only reason this was introduced was to portray her as an immoral drug abuser who was prone to engage in criminal activity. We disagree. As an initial matter, we note that the defense opened the door to this line of questioning in its cross-examination of Hazu, focusing on the results of Shirilla's blood draw that showed she had been under the influence of marijuana at the time of the crash. The context of the state's line of questioning was not to introduce propensity evidence, but rather to introduce relevant evidence probative to the non-propensity purpose of the absence of accident or mistake. Oh my God, Travis. What? Wait. What? So if I read that right, Travis, did all the pot and stuff come in because of her? Like of her team? After careful review, we again find the probative value of this evidence for the non-propensity purpose was not substantially outweighed by the risk of unfair prejudice. Wait, what does that say? Oh yeah, risk of unfair prejudice. Sorry, my cursor was covering. Confusion of the issues or misleading the fact finder. Because there was no error in the trial's court allowance of the challenge evidence, we overrule Shirilla's fourth assignment of error. In her fifth, there was a fifth, Shirilla contends that certain of the trial's court's evidentiary ruling denied her a fair trial and prevented her from presenting a meaningful and complete defense. Specifically, she argues that she was prevented from cross-examining Martin and Hazo regarding the text messages Russo sent on the day of the crash. Defense counsel did not proffer to the trial court the substance of these messages, but certain of the messages were introduced in the juvenile court proceedings. The scope and limitation of cross-examining are matters within the sound discretion of the trial court. After careful review of the record, we find no abuse of discretion here. First, Shirilla's suggestion that the trial court excluded the additional text messages themselves is not corroborated by the record. Shirilla complains about the following exchange during Martin's cross-examination. The defense counsel, are you aware that day, the day of the crash, Dominic Russo texted Mackenzie Shirilla? Prosecutor, objection, the court sustained. Defense counsel, no further questions. Shirilla further complains about the following exchange during the detective's cross-examination. Defense counsel: you were asked on direct about text, correct, by the prosecutor? Jesus: I don't recall. Defense counsel: you don't recall? Jesus: no. Defense counsel: well, Dominic Russo texted people that night that he loved them, correct? Objection. Sustained. We need to come to sidebar. Come up here. Wait, are they saying that Dom texted her, I love you, or something? Like, what are they saying here? And then it says that the court says, as for the last question, which clearly the detective was not asked on direct, it is stricken from the record. My apologies, Judge, says the defense counsel. In neither instance did the defense counsel attempt to lay a foundation establishing how Martin could have known whether Russo texted Shirilla on the day of the crash or regarding Jesus' knowledge of Russo's text messages. More importantly, however, Shirilla never attempted to offer the text messages themselves into evidence and did not proffer their contents into the trial court on the record. She seems to focus her appellate argument on a text message that Shirilla sent to a third party about the incident on July 17, 2022, wherein she stated that Shirilla said Russo had attempted to grab her steering wheel and try to cause an accident. That was to Graham, to Rosie. Or wait, was that to Rosie, or I think she did that to Rosie. Yeah, Rosie. She does not offer an explanation as to how either of the trial court's evidentiary rulings identified above, which concern Russo's text messages to others, had the result of excluding a message Shirilla sent to a third party. In the absence of a proffer and having been directed at only these two evidentiary rulings, neither of which would seem to exclude further foundation and development into the text messages that Shirilla claims were excluded, and where defense counsel chose not to delve into those areas with the witnesses, we cannot find an abuse of discretion in the evidentiary rulings identified. We therefore overrule Shirilla's fifth assignment of error. After oral argument, the parties were ordered by the court to brief the issue of whether or not there was compliance under the matter and the effect, if any, on the assignments of error and or verdict if there was no compliance. Ohio Revised Code states the cause of death and the manner and mode in which the death occurred, as delivered by the coroner and incorporated in the coroner's verdict and in the death certificate filed with the Division of Vital Statistics, shall be legally accepted manner and mode in which such death occurred, and the legally accepted cause of death, unless the court of common pleas of the county in which the death occurred, after a hearing, directs the coroner to change his discretion as to such cause and manner and mode of death. The Office of the Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner conducted autopsies on the persons of Dominic Russo and Davion Flanagan. The coroner's verdict dated September 12, 2022, as to the manner of death of Davion Flanagan was recorded as accidental. The report of the autopsy of Dominic Russo, dated October 12, 2022, was also listed as accidental. Both autopsies were conducted by Dr. Joseph Filo, a forensic pathologist and Chief Deputy Medical Examiner for Cuyahoga County. Dr. Filo testified that in March 2023, he was asked by the Office of Cuyahoga County Prosecuting Attorney to review additional documents which had been generated by the Strongville Police Department but were never submitted to the Office of Medical Examiner. According to Dr. Filo, after he reviewed the documents submitted to him, he changed the manner of death from Davion Flanagan and Dominic Russo from accident to homicide. In the case at bar, the record is void of any evidence that the Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner wait, what did I write? Oh no, I just lost my spot. Oh, I got it. Sorry. In the case at bar, the record is void of any evidence that the Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner complied with the statute. In her supplemental brief, Shirilla argued that a medical examiner lacks the statutory authority to amend a deterioration as to the manner and mode of a person's death as memorialized in a verdict and the death certificate without being ordered to do so by a court. She directed this court, and then lists a case, in which the Supreme Court wrote that the coroner's factual determinations concerning the manner, mode, and cause of death, as expressed in the coroner's report and death certificate, create a non-binding, rebutable presumption concerning such facts in the absence of competent, credible evidence to the contrary. Shirilla argued that the medical examiner's amended conclusion that Russo and Flanagan's deaths were homicides resulted in impropriety and prejudice. She further argued that the amended autopsy reports were created solely for the purpose of using them against her in this criminal trial, and that the testimony statements implicating the confrontation clause. The state responded by arguing that Shirilla waived all but plain error as to the issues, and that does not apply when medical examiner decides to change its own determination. As for the confrontation clause argument, the state directs... Hold on, you guys. I have to let Thor in. Hang on. Hold on, Thor. Okay, I'm back. Oh my gosh, we're almost done, you guys. I feel like this is the never-ending life. Alright, let me see where are we at. Hold on, I need a drink. What did you forget about? Violates the 8th Amendment. What does? Oh, look. You two bad actors. Thorsty came. Thorsty's here. Oh. Okay, let me finish this out. I could make it bigger too. It doesn't look that big on your side. Oh wait, let me just do fit. Here we go. Okay, so where were we? Excuse me. The state responded by arguing... Oh wait, let me put my thing back on. The state responded by arguing that Shirilla waived all but plain error as to these issues, and that this one case does not apply when medical examiner decides to change its own determination. Ivy, thank you. That is so very nice. Thank you for saying I'm doing amazing, Just Pepper. Travis says that most states, that's the difference. Aggravated murder is usually automatic. Oh, life without parole and death optional. Wow. Thank you, Travis. Oh, wow. So it was eliminated 10 years ago. Thank you, Travis. I'm so glad that we have you. You are so amazing. Harlot gave me a poop. I'm so excited. I got a golden poop. Happy poop. Thank you, Harlot. You're so generous. I appreciate you. So we have the state is correct that we review these issues for plain error because neither was raised below. After a careful consideration, we decline to find plain error here, but do caution the state as to the need to comply with that statute. The Supreme Court has instructed courts to notice plain error with the utmost caution under exceptional circumstances and only to prevent a manifest miscarriage of justice, quoting State versus Long. Paragraph 3 of the syllabus. In order to show plain error, a defendant must evidence an error that constitutes an obvious defect in the trial proceedings and demonstrate that the error affected the outcome of the trial. We are convinced not to exercise our discretion to find plain error here because we are not convinced that any error was obvious or that the amendment of the autopsy conclusions affected the outcome of the trial or resulted in a manifest miscarriage of justice. We find that, in this case, the change of the manner of death of Davion, Flanagan, and Dominic Russo by the Office of the Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner did not affect the verdict in this case. Although the trial court had before it evidence of the change as to the manner of death by the Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner's office, there was other evidence to support the verdicts. Dr. Filo testified that it was his choice to amend the conclusions. He summarized what he reviewed in coming to that determination, and he identified the reason why he came to those conclusions. In other words, the fact finder heard the circumstances of the amendment and could judge those circumstances as well as the credibility of the evidence that caused the amendment. Finally, in light of precedent from this court, any error in the procedure under the circumstances would not be obvious. This court has held that RC 313.19 contemplates situations where a third party seeks to have a trial court direct a coroner to change the manner of a person's death, unlike the situation here. And then it says, see McFeature at 137. Having overruled Shirilla's assignments of error for the reasons stated above, we affirm the court finds there were reasonable grounds for this appeal. It is ordered that the appellate recover from the appellant the cost herein taxed. It is ordered that the special mandate issue out of this court directing the Cuyahoga County Court of Common Pleas to carry its judgment into execution. The defendant's convictions having been affirmed, any bail pending is terminated. Wow. And that was that. I'm glad we got to read that. Wow. That's crazy, you guys. Wow. Thank you for all of that info, Travis. Hey, let me hide that on screen. So let me see if I have any notes that I want to wrap up with. So let's see. Let me see my closing notes because I did have them. Okay. All right, so here I have. Okay, we can now resolve the apparent contradiction. The juvenile judge found insufficient probable cause that the deaths resulted from prior calculation and design. She simultaneously found probable cause for murder and related offenses. Because Mackenzie was 17 and murder triggered mandatory bindover, she transferred the case to an adult court. The state could not revive the rejected aggravated murder counts after transfer. At the adult bench trial, the court found the remaining charges proven beyond a reasonable doubt. The finding of purpose rested on a developed evidentiary record. The driving sequence, full acceleration, speed, route timing, steering, absence of braking, and the rejection of medical and mechanical alternatives. The appellate court affirmed both bindover and convictions. The psychological lesson is not that cognition can replace law. It is that legal categories force us to resist our favorite mental shortcuts. Whether it's planned or accidental was never the complete issue. Purpose can be formed without the added proof of prior calculation and design. Let me say that again because that goes to the root of the entire live, and hopefully Travis can validate this. But like I just said, what did I just say? I just had it. Oh my God, you guys. I said, that's so funny. Oh my God. Okay, I think I found it. Purpose can be formed without the added proof of prior calculation and design. There you go. Recklessness can produce death without purpose. The task is to connect evidence to the exact element being decided. The ethical lesson lesson is equally important for me. Precision protects everyone. It prevents us from exaggerating the state's case, and it prevents us from misrepresenting the juvenile judge as having rejected murder. It keeps disagreement attached to the record instead of other captions that creators may come up with. Dominic, Russo, and Davion Flanagan were not legal elements. They were young men with families, relationships, and futures. Davion is too often reduced to the friend in the back seat, even though the court found that his life was purposely taken along with Dominic's. Any conclusion worth making must remember the human cost that brought these doctrines into the courtroom. My final position is bounded but clear. The two rulings were legally compatible. Let me say that again. My final position. The two rulings were legally compatible. The juvenile court rejected probable cause on the additional planning element while finding enough credible evidence of purposeful murder to transfer the case. The adult trial court later found purpose beyond a reasonable doubt on a larger record, and the appellate court affirmed this. You can debate the inferences here, but we should not mistake the question that each judge answered. If this breakdown helped you guys understand the case beyond the headlines, please subscribe and share the live with someone who's been confused by the aggravated murder ruling. The next logical conversation, well, you guys tell me, what do you think is the next logical conversation? I won't tell you, you tell me. And that's what I will try to cover next. Let me see what you guys are saying before I end. This was a really good live, you guys. I was afraid, let me be honest, to do this live because there was a lot of legality behind it that I don't exactly claim to know. But I think it goes to show you that you don't have to necessarily be an expert in a specific area to educate yourself on a question you may have, or an observation that you may have, right? So I went ahead and I not only read all of the documents that I had highlighted to share with you guys, so I read all of the documents and then highlighted those specific parts for you guys. But not only did I do that, I went and did the research. Like, I looked up some of these cases, and I'm glad I did because it helped me understand a little bit better. I also reminded myself of things like confirmation bias that we sometimes suffer from. We also sometimes suffer from outcome bias. So think of it this way. Think about your friend who's in a shitty relationship, but you kind of think they're still good for you. Like, you don't know. You're like on the fence. Then they break up and they're like, this is the worst person ever. And you're like, oh, I knew that was going to happen. Or like, even like, let's say you're watching your favorite team in sports and they wind up winning in the end, and they, it wasn't in their favor to win. And you're like, oh, I knew they were going to win. It's like easier to go back on an outcome and be biased afterwards. With that same thing, that leads us to confirmation bias. When we have confirmation bias, and this is often related to outcome bias in that they're connected, if you already have an outcome bias, which I think not Travis, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, I just had a old person moment. Hold on, I'm going to tell us in 1 second. Crew. Thor. Yes, the next logical conversation is ... you tell me. And then I'll do a live on it. I want the milk when you're done. Would you like me to warm that up for you? Cinnamon Toast Crunch? I don't know about Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I made homemade chicken noodle soup, and it might be better than I've ever made it before. So I think I'm going to go have some chicken noodle soup. I love soup. I don't know why. So does Gianna. It's so weird. But yeah, you guys. So you guys let me know what the next logical conversation is. But soon is going to be on her friendship with Rosie because I want to show how she, how her relationship with Rosie is different than the other friendships that we've seen throughout the years. And I'm going to tell you why I think that is in that live, and how I think that it's very self-serving, in my opinion, for Mackenzie. I think Rosie having a huge following, like there's just so many things, but I'll explain it when we do a live, but that's going to be one of them. And a wise woman thinks that she makes the best chicken noodle soup. I don't know. This is pretty good. You know what I mean? But anyway, you guys, so on Wednesday, I will be live with the Drunk Turkey Show related to Brian Koberger. That's a blast from the past. So Brian Koberger is the very first case that I came in on. So I'm excited to see what's new out there. I'm not up to date. So someone said something about a letter that I don't know. But hopefully, I think Cuff U already has it. And I'm like, would be so shocked if not. Cuff U's like the queen when it comes to this stuff. So hopefully I can find it that way. Yes, Rosie has followers, right, Ivy? Yep, I think so. There's a reason for it. I just loaded up the docs with explanation of the differences in Discord. You really are the best, Cuff. I learned how to cook besides your Italian grandmother. Me too. 2 of them. Yeah, and my aunts. Probably more my aunts than my grandma. A good friend of mine represented Maddie's family on the Koberger case. No way, Travis. Well, Travis, hopefully you're there on Wednesday. And don't forget how kind we are over here. So maybe you can come in on both chats, but definitely drop a line. I love you guys. Thank you especially to all my mods and my members and my members for 13 months, 11 months. Like, what? Thank you. You think you're Adderall? You and me both, wise woman. What's up, barbecue queen? Whoop whoop. Aw, Just Pepper said I'm always wonderful. Yes, Travis, thank you so much for your help tonight. And thank you to the person that jumped in when we started to go off a little bit on her social media. Thank you for redirecting me back. Yes, I love you, Nug. Love you, Nug. I hope you had a great weekend with your grandbabies. All right, you guys, I'll see you Wednesday. Make sure you're here 9:30 Eastern. Love you guys. Thank you so much for joining. And thank you to all of the jewels that you guys sent. That was so very kind of you. I appreciate it. And every single jewel is going towards a new something for here, because let's be real, you guys. I need to figure this out. I love you guys. Good night.